Hey everybody, welcome to section 3.3. This is about slopes of lines. I think you'll find this pretty easy. This is a review of an Algebra 1 topic. Just need to remember that the slope of a line is the ratio of its vertical rise to its horizontal rise. You probably heard of it as defined as rise over run. Vertical rise over horizontal run of a line, as you can see from the picture here. In the coordinate plane, the slope of a line is the ratio of the change along the y-axis to the change along the x-axis. You may have also heard slope defined as rate of change. That is true, especially for story problems. Slope m of a line containing 2 points with coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2 is given by the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where x1 does not equal x2. Keep in mind you can reverse the order of that. You can also say y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, just as long as you're consistent and you have your 1's minus your 2's or your 2's minus your 1's. Important to notice down here the slope of a line indicates whether the line rises or falls to the right or is horizontal. The slope is vertical if you have an undefined. Okay, so we have vertical lines have undefined slope. There's no number attached to them. It's not even the number 0. I do want you to remember that the z in horizontal, pretend that that stands for a 0 because all horizontal lines have 0 slope. Okay, moving on. Okay, just a couple more things to talk about here. We got a couple of postulates. 3.2 postulate. Two non-vertical lines have the same slope if and only if they are parallel. Okay, so if you have two parallel lines, notice that they are slanting the same, and therefore their slant is the same, their slope is the same. So the slopes of parallel lines will always be the same. Okay. Then we talk about perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines intersect at 90-degree angles. I'll make this line extend a little further here. We have our little box here showing that all four of these angles are 90 degrees. And the postulate says two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if the product of their slopes is -1. Okay, that can also be interpreted as opposite reciprocal slopes. Opposite reciprocal. So the slopes aren't the same. They are opposite reciprocal. If you remember how to find opposite reciprocal slopes, you flip the fraction and change the sign. Okay, so let's say the slope of this line right here was 5 over 1. Okay, and since these lines are perpendicular, the slope of this line here would be -1 over 5. Okay, so notice how they're opposite reciprocal. You flip the fraction and you change the sign. Okay, it's also worth it to note parallel. You will see parallel symbol as two slanty lines, or you could also see it as two vertical lines. That means parallel. And then the symbol for perpendicular, many of you know it's the upside down T for perpendicular. And there you go.